Welcome to Safebridge's third webinar from We're Getting a Seafarer's Point of View. We are very privileged and honored to speak with Nyari, who is a wonderful and inspiring marine engineer from India, who besides her primary marine career, she has really established herself. She is extremely active in a lot of other activities. Just to note some of her most recent achievements, she delivered a very inspiring public speech at TEDx event in March titled Move, It's Necessary. She has written a book called Anchor My Heart. The book revolves around a strong protagonist, a lady marine engineer. It reflects largely about the life of seafarers and the hardship women have to undergo in a male-dominated industry. She was recently promoted and is in charge of the engine room, which involves rigorous physical activity, as well as a lot of mental labor, where most of the time in temperatures ranging over 40 degrees and the sound levels above 50 decibels. So, wow, you've really done a lot. It's very nice that we have you because we're going to talk about two key issues that we're facing. One of the main issues that we're facing as women, especially in the maritime industry, is there's not a lot of us, and when we are there, they're not in leadership positions. So it seems like you do have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. I know I wouldn't be able to do the work that you do, and I commend you 1000%. And I'm going to quote one of my favorite authors, Maya Angelou, phenomenal woman, that's you. I've definitely changed that a little bit, but can you just tell us in a few words about yourself?
My name is Nyari. I am from India, and I have been in shipping for the past 7 years, working with my company, Anglo-Eastern. It's been a wonderful journey. As far as women, like you said, are concerned, my company has really promoted them in a very in every possible way that they could. And so yeah, like starting from the cadetship to growing up to being the in charge of your team, it's really been a more of a laborious and a heartwarming feeling. So, but yeah, this was always on my list, that I have to, that there's no going back in between, because uh, as the pioneer, as the face of the entire womanhood in this industry, I had to, there was no going back, as the torch bearers. A lot of time people regard me with words like these as an inspiration or anything. But I feel that there is a lot of responsibility on my shoulders on this perspective, that if I perform well, um, if I give output, it will eventually pave out, carve out the path for future women seafarers, because there's no, it is going to increase in just, I think, maybe another year. It's going to come at a very larger level than when what it was when we started.
Yeah,
So,
no, definitely. You bring up a great point, because the women leaders now, especially you guys on board, you definitely are paving the way for the cadets of the future, the female cadets of the future. So it is a lot of responsibility on your shoulder, and it's almost like the eyes are on you, right?
yeah.
So it's almost like you better succeed, right? But what, with that being said, like, what kind of skills did you develop your skills on your own, um your leadership skills, whatever you needed for a smooth transition into a leadership position? Did you do it yourself, or did your company help you with this? Is it mostly experience?
Oh, yeah, actually, as far as the company is concerned, yes, in Anglo-Eastern, we do have a lot of in-house courses which
Mhm.
do cover a lot of leadership and occupational behavior-based trainings. They do conduct that. But I would say that coming up to a leadership level, from a junior rank, I think one of the most important things to look after is to learn the job and be able to do the job. Because at this level, when you are delegating, if you're just that man of or a woman of words, big words and not of action, then it doesn't really work here. Because it's just a handful crew of maybe 20, 22. That's the maximum. And if you're just like ordering or commanding, then it doesn't your team kind of gets separated, distanced a lot. Like whenever I do the meeting in the morning, when I'm allocating the jobs, after that I walk out with them and I'm there everywhere, wherever, because as second engineer you just can't be hanging on to one job, because you have other juniors also to look after, to supervise, uh, whenever they have doubts. Or so I make sure that I am with them, not in the control room.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes builds a bond. And at the end of the day, you've got to be human, uh,
Or,
and understand that how would you feel if you were in their shoes. And because and I can feel it, because that's where I've come up from.
mhm.
So yeah.
So when we talk about the difference between a female leader and a male leader, we definitely we can learn a lot from each other, right? From having a male mentor. I mean, but let's talk about some of the differences. Like some I believe, and this is my opinion, that women inherently have certain skills that men just do not have. And what do
Yeah.
I mean by this? Um, I mean, we run our homes, right? We raise children. Well, yes, men raise children as well, but we really coddle our children, and we're there. We know how to show empathy when we need to show empathy. We know to show who's in charge when we need to show in charge. Do you feel
Yeah.
there is this difference between the male and the female leader, especially on board? And how did you deal with becoming a brand new leader who is a female? Did you struggle in any aspect of gaining the respect from your crew?
See, I would say that when I was a junior, I had seniors who were men. So
Yes.
uh, uh, a lot of times when I was still learning, so the problem was that they were prejudiced. They were already preoccupied with their olden or primitive notions, that you could say. So they were already prejudiced. So if there was any point of time that I would not be able to do something, there was this flag coming up that see, I told you, it's really very difficult for women. They do need help at the end of the day. It
Mhm.
can't really run on your shoulders. So that used to hurt me a lot, because
Mhm.
uh, beyond everything, like you always know that employees in any company, they grow up not just on the basis of the salary that they get. They need
Mhm.
to be appreciated. They need to have a challenge, an adventure. Everything needs to be there in your job. You can't just survive on the basis of salary. And it goes well even here, even though it's very lucrative in terms of financial
Mhm.
um, things that
Right.
yeah. But so when I came up to that level, and now when there are boys asking me for help,
Mhm.
because they do need it, they do need my supervision. They do get stuck with certain engineering issues, wherein I use my experience and my knowledge or whatever I have gained in these years, and I make sure that they don't feel offended with that, like I
Yes.
was made. So I
Sure.
think that is one of the stark differences that we have as women. We have grown up as victims, but we have not been a victim uh, of that legacy that we have got.
I completely agree with you. You just actually you gave me chills when you said we've grown up as a victim, but we're really not victims, especially in the professional atmosphere. I came from the financial industry in the United States, right?
Mhm.
And over there, they like to. I had very great male mentors, but in the United States, they like to still cover up the fact that
They're still an issue when it comes to women in the workplace. And the men are just simply taken more seriously.
Yeah.
But it's always up to us to do it, to rise above with grace, and to see other women do this in such a graceful manner, such as yourself. It's quite an inspiration. Um, Now, going a little bit back, right now, when did you actually get promoted? Was it during the pandemic? Was it before?
Yeah, I got promoted during the pandemic,
During
because
the pandemic, okay. So that's a lot to handle. So how did you prepare for that? So now you've become a leader, and there's a pandemic happening. No one's trained for a pandemic. How
yeah.
did you work with that?
Uh, See, basically, I signed off from my last trip in 2019 December, almost New Year. So then after that, I had a lot of events with my book. I was invited in Dubai for a magazine feature called Friday. It's under the Gulf News, which is one of the leading dailies of Dubai and UAE. So I was invited to Dubai. So I was like kind of enjoying my life, and the perks that were coming because of being an author and a mariner.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, by the time the lockdown was kind of picking up pace, and I came back to India, and it got locked, completely shut. So the next
Yeah.
thing on my list was to join back. And I was being told that you can understand there are no crew changes happening, and as far as your family is concerned, even they didn't want me to go back with that thing. So, but then I for me everything apart, my career has always been on the mainstream, even though there was a pandemic and there were people suffering, and even my family was going through a lot of issues as far as because we live in New Delhi, and New Delhi was like picking up a lot of cases.
Yep.
But in between, I got this call that we're promoting you and we would like to join. So I didn't even think for a once, because I knew that if I don't join, there is someone waiting for me. If I join, he will be able to come back home.
Right.
That's the first thing. And second thing, of course, was my promotion, which I wanted, which I've been wanting for the past 1 year. So both the things got clubbed, and when I came here, it was as a crew, your team. So they look up to you, because during the normal days, when we would go to a port and the ship stays for like some fair enough days of like 5 days or 4 days, we do go out
Mhm.
for show, have party, at least have a change of this monotonity
Atmosphere.
on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but uh, see, more of it is because the people already don't really want to go out, because nobody wants to carry that disease. And so somehow I just try to keep the atmosphere as light as I can.
Are
And
you able now with the certain restrictions? Are you able to get off the ship, or
no,
no, nothing? Okay, so you have to stay on now.
yeah, because
And how
because
is that?
there are a lot of rules and regulations, so
Yeah,
kind of very complicated.
and I could imagine. So when you actually joined, so now that countries are actually going back into lockdowns, can you tell me what's going on through everyone's head on board? Because we've heard so many cases where um, they couldn't go home. It took them weeks to get home. There's no crew changes that are happening. Is that anxiety coming back up for individuals, or?
Yeah, of course, because you see, a lot of times here on board, you might not be able to share everything with your colleagues. And we are one of those working professionals who stay with each other. And
Mhm.
if you would consider my case, I'm the only one. Everybody else is a counterpart. So,
Right.
so how much do you think that you can share your mental upheavals at times that do come up back home on your domestic front? So, but as of now, the crew on board here with me, they are kind of still okay and motivated and kind of still okay. Not really so much of anxiety or depression
Mhm.
issues because my company, they have done a really good job, phenomenal work as far as crew changes are concerned.
Okay.
Anglo-Eastern has been really good in that.
So, but you did bring up a good point that I do want to discuss a little bit about. You were saying everybody else is pretty much a counterpart, right? And I took this as, are you one of the only females, or are you the only female on board at this moment?
Yeah.
Yes. So you cannot show weakness, right? So you really don't have people to talk to if something is happening with you, right? If you
Yeah.
are down one day, you cannot just go to your colleague and say, this is what's going on with me today, because for me, I would be afraid that I would be showing my weakness in this type of atmosphere. So how do you handle that?
See, the only thing that I know is that after you walk out from your cabin, there's this only work, and
Yeah.
and on a senior level, at senior rank, if you break that dignity between you and your,
Mhm.
then it's very difficult to get the work done.
Mhm.
So I keep myself motivated in the way that this is what I'm supposed to do here, and nothing else should make me budge. Uh,
Mhm.
and Yeah, that's how. Or maybe you can say that through these years, I've really grown thick-skinned. I've kind
Yeah.
of developed that, because even in the college, we were like, I was like one girl in my batch.
Oh,
So
wow.
we've just grown up with men. I don't know how to say this without being inappropriate.
Yeah, no, I no, I completely understand. I bet you when you go home, like you can't wait to just put on pretty clothes and just do all the girly things.
The girl you actually are.
Yeah. Yes. No, I completely get it. But just know, like, we are here to support you. So I love it when other women are there to lift each other up. So if you ever need any type of support, you always know where to go. Um, yeah. How do you envision it? So people are away from their families. There are some people that are away from their children. We're coming up to the holiday season. What kind of effect do you think this will have on your crew, and how do you expect to handle this? You know, because I'm not sure when your crew change is scheduled. So if you were to be extended as a leader, how would you react to the news, and how would you get your crew through this? Because that would be a huge um, issue, right? I would think with most people.
See, I think the only thing that can keep you on the track is hope. The fact that
Mhm.
you've joined in a pandemic. When I was taking my flight from New Delhi to Doha, and I was the only woman on that chartered plane as a seafarer. Even the airline staff was like confused, ma'am, why are you in this
Are
queue?
you on the right
By
plane?
any chance? Chance, are you a seafarer? I was like, yes, I am a seafarer. So
Mhm.
then they realized that I was in the same queue of men. So they made me that, okay, ma'am, why don't you just get aside, and we'll make you walk. We'll do your papers. Uh, so yeah, so when you've joined in such an atmosphere, you kind of, you agree to the fact that you have to be mentally very, very strong, and you have
Mhm.
accepted it. So seafarers, by and large, they always have this kind of experience as far as going back home is concerned. You will. It's not just during this pandemic. We have all faced sign-off issues at times when companies, they do try a lot on their end, but if something goes wrong or the other, so you always keep yourself hopeful that yes, you're gonna sign off. No way. There's no doubt about it. But even if you don't, there's nothing wrong, because the ship already loves you and you love her back.
Mhm. No, yes. Well, that's a nice a nice viewpoint to have, because I know I just know myself. I'm not built to be out at sea whatsoever. I will definitely be the first one to say no. I cannot do it. Um, So I could understand that you do have to be mentally strong to be able to undertake such a situation. I know that for onshore individuals such as myself, it's been quite a ride actually. And it's probably not anywhere as close to what you guys are going through. Do you know, like, do you have colleagues who have or who are still on board that are still away from their families that still haven't been able to, actually get off?
Yeah, basically, when I was at home, there was a kind of situation like that wherein my colleagues and some of
Mhm.
my friends were stuck. But I think now, as far gradually as some of the ports and companies are opening up, so crew changes are picking up. Not
Yeah.
so much as it used to be, but yeah, it's happening.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's good news. I just hope, more restrictions as we're going back into lockdowns doesn't affect anything. But hopefully by then the governments will see, maybe we should do something for our seafarers and let them travel freely so that they can actually get to work and actually go home. This is one of the big things that we're trying to push for. And I have no clue how long this is going to take because it doesn't seem like this pandemic is going to go away anytime soon. I think we're just going to continue rolling in phases, and this is
Yeah.
going to be part of our life. How is your family in India? Do you speak to them often? Like, is everybody okay? Yeah. I
Yeah, everybody's doing.
yeah.
Yeah, everybody's doing great. By God's grace, they are all in good spirits and health. So yeah, they are
Okay.
fine. Uh, my ship has an internet facility, so I do get time to talk to them.
Oh, good. Now, as we wrap up this interview, it's been an absolute pleasure. And what kind of advice do you have for your colleagues that would watch this video uh, during this time, and especially to the future female leaders in the shipping industry?
Uh, See, as far as this pandemic is concerned, the shipping industry is more and more talking about the seafarers who are stuck, who were not able to go
Mhm.
back home. But there's also this lot of seafarers who are waiting at home to rejoin to
Correct.
earn livelihood. Somehow this shipping, especially the junior ranks, they are struggling a lot. And even before the pandemic, the job scenario was kind of getting pathetic because of the disproportionality between the supply and demand of manpower. uh, so I would really want everyone, if any company representatives or to understand even this perspective that there are seafarers waiting at home who
Mhm.
are kind of okay. We do earn a lot nonetheless, but there is this reservoir out of which we consume and feed our families. So it will get depleted at one point of time. So that is also kind of bringing a lot of stress, financial stress. We as seafarers also have home loans, education loans, and whatnot. So they do need to join back. uh, we've always been the strongest. That's a fact that we are seafarers. So just keep holding on.
Mhm.
Uh, Times will change, of course, and of course we have contributed in the most unprecedented way during this pandemic. Apart from the frontline workers who have got the acknowledgement and we haven't,
Yeah.
we kept the supply chain alive. Even I carried sugar, last time.
Right.
And
No,
it's,
that's a big statement. That there are frontline workers that did get the recognition as being part of essential, and kind of our seafarers have been left out. And yes, you guys are keeping the supply chain going,
yeah,
and it makes me wonder if you guys stopped doing what you guys were doing, what would actually happen? Everything would just stop. And
yeah,
maybe that's when governments would realize, oh, wait a minute, this
yeah.
we messed up, but we can't do that because it's not just the governments that would pay; it's pretty much the whole world would pay. And what kind of advice do you have for future female leaders?
For all the future female leaders, I would say that just get up, walk out, and come to ship. There's no
Yeah.
issue. There's as long as you're mentally prepared for it, you know that you have it in you, and you're gonna give that output. Don't think that whether it's of course I know there are safety issues and a lot of things, but remember that like I always say that I'm not the first one. Somebody has always already carved the path for me. So walk, see me, and just come out of your mental block. This world is wonderful.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I won't keep you any longer. I know you have to get back to work. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.